Have you come for the jank? This is Phil from the future, and this video is going to deliver, baby! Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, but this one is going to be a little bit different as I am not alone today. I've got a special guest. I will be recording some exhibition matches with Crucible of Words. Cyrus, would you go ahead and introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are, what you do, and where they can find you?
Hello, I'm Cyrus Bales, aka Crucible of Words. I've got a YouTube channel. I've been playing Legacy for about 2 decades, probably, and I have been doing a channel for a couple of years now. I'm well known for playing Turbo Depths and Legacy. I also do a little bit of pre-modern content as well, and just sort of play a general mishmash of stuff, kind of inspired by, Phil and other members of like the Eternal Glory podcast.
I'm happy to have you here today. And I will have all of your links in the video description if anyone wants to check you out later, as we're going to be playing exhibition matches. So you're going to have your own explanations for what's going on today on your own videos. Now, here is kind of the setting for today. We are currently living in a legacy world that is very fast, with Tamiyo threatening to take over the game almost instantly, with Entomb, Reanimate, and Nadu and One Ring really putting a lot of pressure on the jank. So today we're going to be playing a handful of decks that are a little bit slower, a little bit less optimized than some of our top legacy decks, and we're going to see how they feel when they're not under the pressure of some of the most broken stuff in the format. So, Cyrus, your introductions for each of your decks is going to be on your own channel, but will you just tell the viewers what to expect on your end?
All right, I'm bringing some pretty spicy things. I've got a sort of Rakdos Sacrifice Bombardment style deck. I've got an Eldrazi Food Chain combo deck, and I've got the Mighty Quinchantress, which is a sort of very slow white prison-y enchantment based deck.
Oh boy, I'm sure that is going to warm the hearts of some of the people in my audience. I haven't heard the name The Mighty Quinn in many, many years.
Yeah, it's a bit of a throwback, but thought I'd bring something a bit special.
And I will be bringing my own fun stuff. So I'm going to be bringing 3 community favorites from the last month or so. I'm going to be playing Sandman Relandinator. That is going to be a mana bond exploration deck that seeks to make a bunch of zombies with Field of the Dead, or take over the game with Sandman eventually. I'm going to bring back the Delney Pyrosurfer Landfall aggro deck, where we're going to look to give multiple instances of Battle Cry to our creatures and crash in for a ton of damage. And then I'm going to bring in the Loam Pox deck that top-aided Eternal Weekend with a couple of very, very minor tweaks for the, expected metagame that we are going to be seeing here. Probably don't need to be running around with Void Mirrors if we're not expecting the One Ring.
Sounds good.
All right, so with that being said, I'm looking forward to some fun, maybe slightly janky matches of Legacy. Cyrus, anything you want to plug before we get going here?
No, just sit back and enjoy.
Excellent. And folks, if you like what you see in any of these decks today and you need some cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU, save yourself a little bit on that order, and order some sweet things. Let's battle. Alrighty, I have kept my opening hand here. I'm on the Delney Pyrosurfer deck first, and it looks like we are going to be playing against the Rakdos Sacrifice deck immediately. We've got Eumidian Hatchery ticking up. There's a Cabal Therapy there. And now Cyrus could try to play the game of which of the 3 decks am I on, but that is a bit of a gamble. I think I am fully down to just Swords to Plowshares the Stitcher's Supplier immediately and not have to deal with Cabal Therapy once he knows which deck I am on. Badlands? That is a Greater Gargadon. Oh, this is sweet. What's Souls of the Lost? Sack. Discard a spell. Discard a card or sack a permanent. Power is equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. Sick. So the Greater Gargadon can fire off Eumidian Hatchery sort of at will here. Which one of these am I doing? I want to do Reckless Pyrosurfer next turn with some attacking if possible. Amped Raptor has the highest upside. Voice of Victory is very consistent damage. I think I'm going to go for Voice of Victory. So Greater Gargadon is going to start ticking down. Hatchery goes up. There is a Witch's Oven. Cyrus now has lots of ways to sacrifice things. There is a Cauldron Familiar. Classic combo going. Are we at Cabal Therapy now? We are. So Forsaken Miner triggers. Oh, there's Bloodghast there now as well. Forsaken Miner is just a 2/2 that can't block, that can be returned to play. This is a pretty big Cabal Therapy moment. Reckless Pyrosurfer is a scary amount of damage. Yep. And Cyrus anticipates that well. What if we just get another one, though? Wouldn't that be cool? Go ahead and play Amped Raptor here. Trigger. We get a Guide of Souls, which is like perfectly fine with Voice of Victory here. Make a land drop. Go to combat. Flare attacks with Voice of Victory. We're going to put the Guide of Souls trigger on bottom. As Voice of Victory, we'll do that. Then I'll say yes here. Put these counters on Voice of Victory. And while we're theoretically coming in for 5, that's not actually going to happen. 15. Then I will sacrifice these tokens. Cauldron Familiar comes back, draining 1. There could be a lot of bodies in play very, very soon. There's some Bloodghast triggers. I don't think I've seen this art before. Aether Drift. Thoughtseize to the bin. Another Bloodghast. There's very real timelines where this ends up coming out. I just have to deal with that. Wasteland, not a very effective card in this matchup with the Greater Gargadon hanging out. I think I will go bam, bam, get some energy, and we'll probably go ahead and attack with things in the air and try to keep the ground clogged. Again, Guide of Souls trigger on bottom, gain life and energy. Say yes to this, put counters on Guide of Souls, and we'll see the same cat trick as last turn, where Cauldron Familiar just converts into a food, and then I will pass the turn. We've got Galvanic Discharge up, but more realistically, I'm probably going to be drawing a card with Sunbaked Canyon. I'll lose another one here. Now, I'm not actually all that close to dead, or rather, Cyrus is not all that close to dead because these do fly, so at some point soon, a lot of things are going to hit play. Oh, oh no. Yeah. That's real good. We're going to Galvanic Discharge that. Basically, this is going to get all sorts of weird. I think I go block, and this is just an instant speed thing, so, I can't immediately disrupt this. I think I'm fine firing off now anyway. This may end up saving me some points of life. Yeah, this is a lot of things that can be thrown at my fair creatures here. Where are these going? All right, so my soon-to-be Planeswalker dies. Then we're going to start going after Guide of Souls and Voice of Victory. The Witch's Oven will be next. And that gets converted back into Cauldron Familiar. 3 damage marked on Guide of Souls. This'll do. Amped Raptor goes down next. Then are we on to the cat token? The time counter abilities are still on the stack here, notably. Stack is big. And getting bigger. It looks like my Voice of Victory may go down too. I think one more permanent has to be sacrificed here to take out Voice of Victory. So this will be damage 4. Then that will be... No, it's got to be yet another permanent, because this was at a permanent that is no longer in play. How many permanents do you have left when this is all said and done? It's going to be a Greater Gargadon and 1 land. So we are in the middle of combat. Turn has cleared. Do I use the fetch land to surveil prior to drawing a card? I think I do. Fetch, and this does change the clock. Parlor. Amped Raptor. That is probably a card worth doing. I don't think your mana matters that much. I think I need to cast my own cards here. Another Amped Raptor. Yeah, we will cast that. I get the energy there. Now I do not die on the next turn because the Ocelot Pride can block and put me to 19 again. And this also does not trample or any... Oh, shit. Well, all right. So there's Ocelot Pride. Send in. Opponent goes to 5. Wasteland you. There goes a time counter. I'm not going to swords immediately, because then some Witch's Oven nonsense could happen. There's a bunch of copies of Bloodghast. Sending on in. I'll go ahead and block there so that I don't gain the life. I'm going to expect a sacrifice there, and then we'll go ahead and Swords of Gargadon. That'll take another counter off here. Nope, just taking the life. That's in fact better. I'll take a little damage here. 14 life on the other side of the battlefield. Galvanic Discharge is an okay pickup. This is looming. I'm definitely attacking with this to get the cat, but I think that's it. This is still relatively scary. Yeah, there's Cauldron Familiar. I'm just blocking. Stacking to Greater Gargadon so I don't gain the life. That keeps me from getting the cat. Don't love that. Rigor. Sure, that's all fine. I think I'm holding Galvanic Discharge. Well, that is a very nice thing that does not do a lot yet. The attack, honestly, is probably not all that great for me. Lifelink interaction with Greater Gargadon is kind of rough. I can't hold back for very long because I can just die to Cauldron Familiar nonsense. Cauldron Familiar does not come back yet. Returns some Bloodghasts and gives them the ability to be returned again. Greater Gargadon is on the table at any time. How much toughness does this have? 7? 7 is a very awkward number. I guess we will, like, first strike damage it and then Galvanic Discharge, and it's fine. The land drop then gets to return the copies of Bloodghast. Once the Gargadon is out of play, it becomes a little harder to blank Ocelot Pride life gain. Witch's Oven will still help a little bit. There's Drain 1. What's my graveyard hate for this deck? Grafdigger's Cage. That's very good here. There's like a lot of math and pure permutations to do here. Cyrus is playing a very, very intricate and tricky deck. This is a very cool deck. All right, no Greater Gargadon immediately. I have 3 first strikers, and this is all blockable. We will go block, 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 block. So a Bloodghast gets turned into a food token. Then we're doing Greater Gargadon Sacrifice nonsense. And more. 1 damage is getting marked on the Pyrosurfer. Alright, now what happens here? Okay. This Greater Gargadon can come out as at will as a blocker. Bloodghasts have haste. That is a thing that can happen here. And Greater Gargadon can also be a thing. I'm effectively at 2 life immediately because of Cauldron Familiar. Greater Gargadon and 3 Bloodghasts could potentially be attacking. I lose any creature that attacks into Greater Gargadon here. I think I am passing, and I hate it. So this forces the Greater Gargadon into play, which I am prepared for. It's problematic if a land drop happens. That's 3 hasty Bloodghasts. And something to do with the mana beyond that. Uh-oh. So Mayhem Devil gets to ping, presumably... Oh, you can just go to my face, right? Yeah. Oh, while that was on the stack, I really needed to hit this. It wouldn't matter, I'm dead either way, as there's still another food in play here. GG. Slog of a game. So some exile-based removal is great. Grafdigger's Cage is very good. Clarion Conqueror is great. I have other things that I can think about beyond that. We've got some really good tools here. As we saw before when I played this deck, Delney was often turning into Clarion Conqueror in the post-sideboard games. Goblin Bombardment is a little weird, given my opponent's Mayhem Devils. Those can probably go, and I can cut Felia, for like a medium Felia deck. This seems reasonable. Alrighty, opening hand is solid here. There's a Guide of Souls to kick things off, and then I have any number of solid permanents that I can start doing after that. Another Eumidian Hatchery on turn 1, exactly what my opponent wants to see here. And there's a Witch's Oven. That's fine. I think I'm going to go for land drop into Voice of Victory immediately. And we'll play Amped Raptor once there's removal targets on board. I don't want to hit like a Swords to Plowshares or Galvanic Discharge and not necessarily have something to go with it. Bloodstained Mire. Fetching. Alright, Greater Gargadon is in exile once again. And we've got this nonsense. I can't disrupt via Swords to Plowshares. However, we can just put on the hurt immediately, which is what I will be doing. So let's yield to all energy generation here. There's an instance of Battle Cry. I go ahead and fetch. I'll do Elegant Parlor here. There's another instance of Battle Cry. I'll take the land. I'll take the land. Go to combat, and we are going to have quite a few triggers here. Send it in. Let's do the Battle Cries on bottom, then the Guide of Souls, then the Mobilize, because I want this to resolve to give me my energy. Now I get this trigger. Definitely paying the energy. It is theoretically possible for a 2 toughness creature to die here. I think I want this one to fly. So then Battle Cry happens twice. And this is a lot of damage, even if a little bit of it is fogged by Cauldron Familiar. Yep. Are you going to try to trade with Guide of Souls? Yes. And we'll fog 3 other damage, but that's still like 10 damage. So there's the Sacrifice of the Cat, and this is fine. And I'll sacrifice these warrior tokens, but I can do the whole Reckless Pyrosurfer Battle Cry thing next turn. So I think there has to be a removal spell for the Pyrosurfer, or I just out-aggro my opponent here. Sheoldred's Edict. Yeah. I think I keep my evasive creature. What if I amped Raptor into another Reckless Pyrosurfer? What if? Path to Exile. I am not casting that. Notably, Battle Cry is each other attacking creature, so not itself. Send in for half of my opponent's life total here. Bring them down to 3. And I will fetch. Grab a Plateau. Get another instance of Battle Cry. Then throw down my cat. So now we can potentially go wide of some blockers. Greater Gargadon has a ton of counters on it right now. I'm not too worried about that coming into play immediately and being a problem. Stitcher's Supplier. Forsaken Miner in Graveyard. I don't think that's doing anything. And there is the concession. So Cyrus will have a little over 6 minutes for the last game here. And other than Path to Exile, I didn't show any of my sideboard cards, so he doesn't know the Grafdigger's Cage, Clarion Conqueror stuff is coming, which could work to my benefit. The only other thing that I'm thinking about is that for the game on the draw, I could really consider Static Prison over, say, Galvanic Discharge. I think I'm going to do that. Well, I sure don't have any of my sexy sideboard cards, but I don't think I'm throwing back this hand. Badlands? And once again, Greater Gargadon. I will just drop my first cat. Probably remove this stop. Land drop 2. There's Witch's Oven. There's Stitcher's Supplier. Got it. Swords on this doesn't do a ton. think I'm comfortable just attacking as is, seeing if I get to gain the 1 life. My guess is no, and that this just happens. Sure. There is a Cauldron Familiar. You've got it. So now I will just go ahead and use my mana efficiently and play Voice of Victory, and then next turn I get to do the whole Reckless Pyrosurfer thing again. So we just don't want to see something like a Mayhem Devil come down before I have a chance to Swords it. Goblin Bombardment is sweet. So there's Cauldron Familiar. There's a land drop. So we're now going to attempt to do some crimes. So there's land drop, 1 instance of Battle Cry. Fetch. There's land drop, another instance of Battle Cry. Do you come into play tapped? No. I don't know that that actually matters. Let's see what happens here. So we get a food, return cat. Yeah, I lose 1. There's Goblin Bombardment targeting the Pyrosurfer. We're going to return Forsaken Miner. Then my opponent can sacrifice the Forsaken Miner to finish off Reckless Pyrosurfer. This is all secretly fine, as I was actually just trying to get cats. Deal some damage. Flop down the second Ocelot Pride. Move to end of turn. This Voice of Victory trigger goes at the end. There's a cat. There's a cat. City's Blessing. Then we sacrifice these 2. And now I expect I have gone wide of Goblin Bombardment. But my opponent's deck is certainly capable of some nonsense. So, not going to count them out yet. There's a Bloodghast. Imagine we're going to start taking out copies of Ocelot Pride. And returning, taking out the other Ocelot Pride. The Miner can come back. Alright, so the way that Voice of Victory dies is Forsaken Miner blocks it. So I will Swords this for no benefit. Yeah. Then everybody can party. Cauldron Familiar comes back, blocks a cat token, and sack it to ping a different token. Nope. Sure thing. Now, again, this does not trample or anything, so I'm not too worried about my opponent just attacking outright with that twice, and then I die. I'm also not below 10 life for Bloodghast problems. Sure. Forsaken Miner is going to keep coming back. Go ahead and Surveil. Elegant Parlor. Nice. There's Grafdigger's Cage. So there will be some responses. So whittle down the team before this happens. Doing the Witch's Oven thing. And then we'll get Cauldron Familiar. Cool. Go to combat. I think I will leave 1 token back. Alright, going to 6. Alright, there's Greater Gargadon. There's a Bloodghast. Does not have haste. Alright, it is go time on Greater Gargadon. Am I going to die for not leaving back that token? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, I'm exactly going to die. Souls of the Lost. Yeah, take 10, go to 3, sack. Yeah, that'll do. I could have taken more time to do math on that. I was more worried about giving my opponent another turn or not having lethal. But that was a great game. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. For the second game here, I'm going to be bringing the Sandman Relandinator. My opening hand is fine. I think I'm going to mulligan it, though. The Mana Bond and Exploration cards are really, really important to this deck's success. Yeah, this is great. I will keep this. I don't know that I need multiple explorations. 1 is fine, and then I will just keep land density. So fetch, we'll pick up a basic green source here. Grab exploration. Field of the Dead. Starting town. Sure. We will go ahead and just wasteland that immediately and do one of these. We'll just take a land that has a different name than Field of the Dead here. Drop a Blast Zone into play. The big thing that I want to do now is find life from the Loam. Cavern of Souls on Eldrazi. You've got it. I will go ahead and Malevolent Rumble. Yavimaya is a great pickup. And this also sends a Sandman to graveyard. So land drop 1 is Yavimaya. That lets me cast Winding Way. Hoo-hoo! That's a lot of good stuff. I'll throw a Maze of Ith into play and pass the turn there. I forget, do you enter tapped? Yes, you do. Eldrazi Temple or a Glaring Fleshraker. Very, very powerful card, obviously. Yes. There's a mana bond. Trigger. Yes. Now, if you don't know how this works, it's really cool. Because the Field of the Dead sees all of those lands entering, and I make a small army. And at any moment, I can choose to now go ahead and put Sandman in. Actually, with the Eldrazi spawn token, if I'm comfortable dropping Maze of Ith, I think I could have tripled the number of Field of the Dead token things that I just made. Yeah, I had a more optimal way to play that turn. It's not super likely to matter, but I had a better line. The Sandman can't be blocked by small creatures, and that is 9 guaranteed power, not counting all of the zombies that I'm going to have. Alright, it's Eternal Scourge. Trigger. Now this is castable from exile, so this can go infinite with a Food Chain, which we are seeing here. So it is possible for my opponent now to make infinite mana. Oh, this is just a loop with Glaring Fleshraker. Uh-oh. I believe that I am now dead. Because each time that this happens, I am going to end up losing one. I can't disrupt this with Blast Zone. Bringing back any tapped land does not do it. Yeah, I am dead. Did not expect to lose that. GG. Does Damping Sphere stop this? Yes, it will. The infinite version, anyway. Gonna turn Bojuka Bog into a Glacial Chasm. But a few of these effects to get my other cards in there. And I'll get another Boseiju in there at the cost of one of the basic lands. And that seems fine. This does not have colored mana. I will go ahead and mulligan that one. This is a perfectly fine hand. We'll put this back into the deck for later. I'll cast a Mana Bond right now. Pass the turn. We're certainly not doing this immediately. Basic Forest, pass the turn. Another Mana Bond is not what I want. I'm fine throwing down the Damping Sphere here. Now we do still have to worry about just getting out aggroed by Eldrazi. Opponent passes the turn with no play. That's great for me. All Malevolent Rumble. Fine picking up the Wasteland here. Fine playing the Wasteland and using it on Eldrazi Temple. And then honestly, I don't need the other Mana Bond, so say yes. I will cheat 2 land drops into play, and then I can use this to surveil. And next turn, I will be able to bring back a Sandman. It's just a Cavern on Eldrazi. Patch. Surveil. That can go to the graveyard. Now we will have the possibility of looping 2 of them back and forth. Oh, that's just better. Maze of Ith, Wasteland, Verdant Catacombs. 1 and 2. And it does work. We're going to take out Cavern of Souls. And then since I have Urborg, I believe that I get to bring Sandman back immediately. Another Eldrazi Temple. Target Wasteland. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very macabre. You've got it. I still get the Wasteland to play. And there's still another Sandman in there. I can go ahead and Wasteland Eldrazi Temple. Activate this immediately, targeting Wasteland. Yeah. And then I've got a 7/7 in play. I think I value surveilling, looking for a new life from the Loam. more than I do putting the mana bond into play that doesn't really have any text anyway. Basic wastes. That's fine. There's a mortuary, a Node Yavimaya. Very nice. And now I get to start getting zombies. Send in for 8. When it goes to 12, I guess I'll put this in play. Doesn't really matter though. Yavimaya Coast. It's turn 6. Cyrus has not cast a spell yet. Wastegate Battle Mage can help. Life from the Loam is great. Don't need to do that pre-combat though. Send on in. And again, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. He will post-combat Wasteland Yavimaya Coast. Life from the Loam with 3 targets. No Fairy Macabre. Make a land drop. And then we'll go to end step with the mana bonds. Say yes. It is possible for a nuts food chain to still kill me from here. It has to be like all the perfects, but it's possible. So there's the food chain. The follow-up needs to be a card that can chain into the infinite. So this fits the bill. This is something that is 3 mana that can be sacrificed for enough mana to cast Eternal Scourge. But he does not have the infinite. Now, I think for the game that I'm on the draw here, I just need something else that I can play to disrupt Food Chain. And our goal here is to make a Food Chain cost double the amount of mana. We can't shut off the Food Chain, but we can do something that prevents it from going infinite with this, or at least for quite a while. I think I'm going to drop Glacial Chasm based on what I've seen and trim 1 mana bond. My opponent's deck also might be like way less aggro than I anticipated it being, and more combo oriented, in which case I could drop a Maze of Ith for just another thing that produces colored mana. My opening hand is fine. I really do feel like I need something that interacts with my opponent's combo. I'm going to fish a little bit for it. I will consider 2 Wastelands interaction with their combo and keep this. Now, if he leads on basic land into basic land, like, sucks to be me. There's the first one. He will intend on doing a Surveil land here. There's an Eye of Ugin, which does not actually tap for colorless mana itself, notably. So this requires no colored mana, whereas some other things like your Thought-Knot Seer type cards do actually require colored mana. So that was just even on cards. That was Lotus Petal and Null Drifter for 2 other random cards. Let's Surveil. We can probably do better. Like hitting an Exploration or a mana bond is really big. Honestly, even hitting that is fine. So Junk Eye of Ugin. When this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, exile this creature. So that mode is actually relevant versus my Dismember. Starting town. Take the hit here. Pain. Call it good. He will Wasteland a starting town. There's another land drop. Use my life total as a resource here. Take some hits. That's fine. I think I probably have to Dismember this in this turn cycle, though. And I can Life from the Loam into Wasteland immediately next turn. So 2 life and 1 black. We'll just send that to exile. And this is trying to keep Food Chain from coming down and just ending me immediately. All right, very nice. Now, opponent needs 2 Fairy Macabres to keep me from getting a Wasteland. Nice. Wasteland a Cavernous Souls. And pass turn. Now I don't need to dredge with this Life from the Loam. Yeah. Now I just want to find a mana bond or whatever. Fuck yeah. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So there's Exploration. There's a Wasteland. There's a Forest. There's the start of a clock. And I will be able to hold up both Seiju or Food Chain every turn after this one. Okay. Winding Way as well. Sure. We'll cast that. Choose land. Put a Field of the Dead into play. Put a oh no, that's not actually a Surveil land. Put a land into play. Bash for 6. Opponent goes to 14. Pass turn, I'll Wasteland and upkeep. Yeah. Then Sandman is going to be a 2-turn clock in terms of finishing the game. Eldrazi Temple. Glaring Flushraker is great, but nothing else to go with it immediately. I'll Surveil. Pick up Hedge Maze. Oh, hell yeah. That's like literally the perfect draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th, so I'll just get Field of the Dead into play. Yeah. 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 There's 7. Wasteland, Eldrazi Temple. They'll have Bow Sage you up for a food chain if one slips into play. Basic wastes. There's Bayou. I think this lag means that the game is over and I will win that match. GG's. Cool deck from my opponent here. All right. So for this final round, I know that I'm playing against some sort of white Stax enchantment deck. This is a weird hand. I think I'm okay keeping it. I assume that my opponent's deck is going to be slower to get off the ground, and if I take a bunch of their critical pieces, hopefully I will then be able to like wasteland my own Umidian Hatchery, create a bunch of things, and deal a very large amount of damage quickly. We also can get away with this hand, like expecting that our opponent is not going to pressure us very much, because I'm going to deal 6 damage to myself with Thought Seizes. Game 1, Stony Silence. We'll take Phyrexian Unlife. Actually, I can take that next turn. Take Pithing Needle. That way Pithing Needle on Wasteland does not happen. Now we can Wasteland Saga while Thought Seizing once. I'm into that, but we're going to try to get the basic land with that. So let's Thought Seize again. There's another Urza Saga. Take Phyrexian Unlife. Then Wasteland you. Pass turn. Saga again. This Saga ticking up once means this does tap for 8 mana. I don't think that's a problem. Yeah, I don't think this is problematic. Get rid of Rest in Peace there. Then I think I'm just trying to get cards out of my hand. We'll go Bayou into Thoughtseize. Take the On Thin Ice. Let Saga tick up. There's an Ancient Tomb. That can actually make a Construct token, in theory. In theory. Get them both? We'll get them both. Wasteland that Saga. This is so rude. 4 Thought Seizes, 2 Wastelands. And then I'm going to Smallpox. Yeah. And yeah. I have dealt 13 points of damage to myself. Sacrifice Umidian Hatchery. And there's 4 power versus my opponent who has 2 cards and no permanents. Basic Plains. Send in for 4. Yeah. 13. Thera Sanctum gets played out as a land that does not produce mana. Smallpox is whatever. 4 more points of damage. Bitter Blossom on a land is very fun. No play from Cyrus. There's another Umidian Hatchery. Send in for 4. Down to 5. I think I just Malevolent Rumble. Yeah. I'll take the Goyf. Now, next turn, 4 insect tokens plus another Smallpox is, in theory, lethal. Go to Punchies. Send them. Leave back Spawn. Go to 1. And we'll finish it with Smallpox. So discard a Mox Diamond. Back an Eldrazi Spawn. Back Umidian Hatchery. And that'll do. Oh, what's the White Overlord do? I don't remember. Makes insects. Got it. Alright, that was a decisive victory on my end. I am interested in Force of Vigor for sure. I'm interested in Haywire Might for sure. I might end up playing these just as additional threats. There's going to be a small number of artifacts over there, like as an Urza Saga deck, but he's also playing main deck Stony Silence, so probably not super impactful. Go that out. Bowmasters is probably not amazing. Witherbloom Command can get rid of a bunch of the small enabling enchantments. Do I actually want to bring these in the face of known Rest in Peace? I don't know that I need 4 of those. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what if I sub those for Hogak? Yeah, What if I do that and then like trim a copy of Bowmasters? That seems pretty reasonable. Rest in Peace is really fucking good against my deck, though. This seems totally fine. So there is a Leyline of Sanctity, but this time around, I don't have the Thoughtseizes. Where do I want to start? Like, I don't know which one of these to start with. They're both totally fine and good. I think I'm into Saga immediately. We'll go Saga, then Mox Diamond. I think discarding Verdant. Then we will Malevolent Rumble. Wasteland was very good previously. Fine picking that up. Because I can potentially Wasteland and still make one construct out of this first Urza Saga if I feel like, well, very different land setup than last game. So discard off, Wasteland off. I don't know this one. Exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield. Got it. You're just going to attack my Mox Diamond. That's perfectly fine. So I can eventually remove that if I want Mox Diamond back, but that's not going to be a priority for me. We'll just go ahead and do this. Ancient Tomb. Now the big scary enchantments can start coming down. Yeah. This is look at the top 7, put 2 non-creature, non-land permanent cards into play. There's definitely some tension here between, like, my opponent randomly hitting Pithing Needle and my opponent randomly hitting, like, things that can remove my creatures off Urza's Saga. Oh, there's Phyrexian Unlife and Solemnity. Seems good. So my opponent can't have counters put on their Phyrexian Unlife. So let's go. Yeah. Make a friend. This. Oh, and my Mumidian Hatchery. But also my Urza Saga. This is all sorts of weird. So I have an infinite Urza Saga machine, but Eumidian Hatchery doesn't work. Neat. So I'm going to go ahead and just make constructs here for a little while. Fuck, it was correct to Wasteland my opponent. Opponent has the secret anti-hatchery tech. Yeah, I 100% should have gone for this to stop something like another one of these from happening. Note here that I want to keep reducing my opponent's life total to 0. And I know that sounds very funny to say, but like this doesn't start impacting until my opponent's life total is low. So we'd like to get them to 0, and then we can start working on dealing with the Phyrexian Unlife and Solemnity. Thera's Sanctum is a lot of mana. There's another Solemnity. So we want to remove the Phyrexian Unlife. There's a Seam Rip. We'll just take out 1 construct token, which is fine. So let's grow a construct here. Discard Urza's Saga. Can't Thoughtseize my opponent. That's a dead card. I'm fine doing a Malevolent Rumble. Honestly, like a regular land. Bam. Make a friend. Spend in for 8. Opponent is at 2. Phyrexian Unlife is going to defend them. Karmic Justice. Whenever a spell or an ability an opponent controls destroys a non-creature permanent you control, you may destroy target permanent that opponent controls. You've got it. Send in for some damage. So, opponent is dead. We need to destroy Phyrexian Unlife. This is mana value 2 or less, unfortunately. I think I'm going to go ahead and wither. What is the exact wording? So if I take out Sarah Sanctum, they can take out my Urza Saga. Acceptable trade? I don't need to deal any more damage to them? Okay. We're going to go ahead and shrink one of our construct tokens here. Oh, Boseiju. That's a hell of a hit. So do that on Phyrexian Unlife. And then we have successfully killed our opponent. That was way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were just going to cut off some mana, but we hit well off of that. GG's. All right, and there you have it, folks. That's the end of our exhibition matches. That was a lot of fun. Why don't we go ahead and talk about these, starting with our first round, which was the Rakdos Sacrifice versus Delney Pyrosurfer. That was an incredibly grindy match.
Yeah, there was so many operations that I ended up getting a bit far behind on the clock at one point, and then I made a few little errors because I was behind on clock, which was not ideal. But I think it's one of those ones where The Goblin Bombardment and the Mayhem Devil lined up very well against what you were putting down.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I still think that was fully mine to lose. I sat there and said to myself, do I leave back one token? And then I went, if I do, it might give you another turn. I'm not going to do it. And then when it got to your turn, I started doing the math of like, oh, actually, I really should have. So I should have slowed down myself.
Yeah, well, when you have a big sort of slogging match like that took forever to play, it's going to get a little bit messy with so many like individual bits. It's not just like when I fire stuff off, but what I fire it at, and then you have to sort of take into account if I'm trying to survive or kill you or whatever.
Yeah, that was an incredibly intricate match. Uh, it was not immediately apparent to me how bad the Ocelot Prides were going to be because you had so many ways to prevent me from getting my cats. And there was a very, very interesting sub game going on there of like, how do you keep me from gaining any life so I don't start going wide of your stuff while still progressing your own game plan?
I thought you had a really good play on one of the turns where you sort of attacked with some stuff, and then you held back an Ocelot Pride to play post combat main phase, which completely threw out all my calculations about how the next turn was going to go. Because all of a sudden you're in the city's blessing with a million cats. That was really cool.
Yeah, I was very happy with that play. I was cooking there, like had like exactly the right amount of permanence to get the city's blessing, I think. We definitely got to see Reckless Pyrosurfer crash in for insane amounts of damage. That card was quite impressive.
Yeah, I really had to sort of, I didn't necessarily want to be going after that when it came down, but it was just too much that I had to kind of change my plan to try and interact with that because well, I watched your previous video with it as well and just saw how when it pops off, it's pretty lights out. So had to really go for that. And none of my creatures block really. I like the Forsaken Miner and the Bloodghast. I can't rely on those to block if you're going wide either. So I have to be taking out as much damage as I can.
Yeah, I had 3 copies of Grafdigger's Cages and didn't see them until very, very late in that final match, unfortunately. But I think that is a card that your deck is going to have a lot of trouble with. It's going to shut off the cat returning and the blood gas and the Forsaken Miners. But when you're dodging that stuff, the engine is very, very powerful against fair creature decks like mine.
Yeah, it sort of harkens back to a better grindier time. Sort of it's inspired a little bit by the Zombardment deck that like Sam Black pioneered a million years ago. That was really fun.
I Here's my old man moment. I was there. I was there on the floor that weekend when that happened, and everybody started talking about that deck. And then I had it built the next week to play with it. It was so much fun, but that was a very, very difficult deck to play. There was all sorts of like combat math of when do you sacrifice things and like when am I the beatdown, when am I the control. Very, very much did feel that here.
Yeah, like there was a few bits where I could have saved more damage if I'd have blocked and then pinged a different guy. And there's so many tiny little operations, and I've not actually played this before. This is like a first draft, so it was a little bit rough around the edges on my play with it.
I think you did just fine with it. And looks like a pretty well constructed deck. Hope you get to play a league with that at some point. So then we moved
Hatchery
on.
is really good.
Then we moved on to our Eldrazi Food Chain matchup on your side. What was I playing there?
The Mana Bond Lands deck.
The Manabond Lands deck. Yeah. I thought I was very much going to win that first game. I did not expect how explosive you could be when you got going.
I had 2 perfect draws in a row. I had the Food Chain come off the top. So I was like, okay, so I can sacrifice my Flesh Raker to the Food Chain, play some other stuff, and then see where I can go. And then I just drew a Lotus Petal, which meant I didn't have to sack the Flesh Raker and just had the loop. I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was kind of sitting there talking myself through it. I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Okay, what's the payoff going to be? And then I saw the first trigger hit the stack, and I was like, oh, you don't need a payoff anymore. Like, it's already there.
Like, if I didn't draw the Lotus Petal, I had like Malevolent Rumble lines where I could have played an Ulamog from hand. But the thing is, Ulamog's not always good enough against some of the stuff you're doing because you can put so many triggers on the stack and it just takes like one winding way and then all of a sudden you can get a little bit spooky and you have Caracas and stuff. And I'm not a deck that can recast the Ulamog over and over again because I'm sort of cheating it into play with the food chain. It means if you do Caracas it, it's just gone.
I
Unless they have the infinite mana, I suppose.
I was very impressed with this Sandman Land deck. It's a little slow to get going, but once it does get going, like we saw, you had Fairy Macabre, and it just was not enough to stop all of the things that was in my graveyard. I think I targeted 3 Wastelands with 1 life from the Loam at one point, which I'm sure was frustrating.
I think because what you're doing is you're sort of overburdening what my interaction has to do, because I can't deal with everything because you got these loams and you got the Sandman. There's just one too many things, and I really like that sort of taxing your opponent's hate cards sort of thing.
And conveniently, you also couldn't block it with, Eldrazi spawn tokens or anything like that. So it was just big and getting in there. Like, it was a force to be reckoned with.
I've tried playing it in like a more traditional looking land shell, and I haven't really liked it that much. But in the Mana Bond shell that you were running it really sort of shines a lot more because that's what that deck wants to do. It's not trying to find like, your Dark Depths combo or anything, or just trying to put all these lands that have all these utility pieces in. And it just really doubles up on the effects that you want.
It's also so cool to have your threat in hand and be able to discard your threat to Mana Bond and it not being a problem. That's such a unique thing about that card specifically.
Yeah, big fan of that one.
All right, anything else you want to say about your Eldrazi deck there?
No, I think it was fine. I did actually play this in the early access that we had for Modern Horizons 3. I think I played against Bryant Cook, actually. I managed to combo him off super early with a nice lucky draw off the top. So 2 Eternal Glory members down, I suppose.
Yeah, Food Chain is always very, very scary. It's not wildly consistent as a combo archetype, but so many decks just can't beat it. Like, that gets in play, and it's just like, oh, okay, I can't use my Swords to Plowshares on a Mist Hollow Griffin or whatever. And the same thing is true here.
Should we talk about the final round?
Yeah. So you were playing your white Stax enchantment Mighty Quinn style deck, and then I was just on Smallpox or Loam Pox. And boy, that first game was a beating. 4 Thought Seizes, I think 3 Wastelands. My draw was insane.
It was a bit of a tough one for me, I won't lie. I was trying to like get some pieces in and sort of suppress you with something, but I was trying to play around the Smallpox by not playing out my planes because I didn't want it to take my only reliable white source. But then I just lost everything in the process.
I don't think I could have drawn up a better game in my head. So the second game was much more interesting. What's the name of the collected company for enchantments?
United Battlefront.
Yeah. When that card hit the stack, I was like, uh-oh. Like, I know this is going to be bad. Do I activate Urza's Saga now, or do I wait on Urza's Saga? Because I think you had shown me Pithing Needle as well. And then you assembled an entire combo off of 4 mana, which is great.
Not the best combo against your deck, unfortunately, because you got like 2 or 3 Besajus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit... I needed to sort of try and dig and double up on my pieces so I could sort of protect myself.
Yeah, do you have any sort of thing that gives those enchantments hexproof, like once you've assembled the combo to kind of solidify your lock?
Not in this particular build. I've run stuff like that before in the past, and it's been reasonably okay. It's just you got to sort of fit so many things in to make this work that it's pretty rough around the edges, let's be honest.
Got it, yeah. No, it is definitely I am playing this for fun sort of deck. It is a tough sell to even play optimized stacked decks in Legacy, and this one is definitely we're cooking today. It's the spice.
I've played it before, and there are a very polarized matchup. Sometimes your opponent's just trying to turn some guys sideways, and that's just not working out. But if they've got a lot of utility, like Besajus and Wastelands and Smallpox and things, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, and a bunch of your lock pieces weren't answerable via Witherbloom command, which is great for you. Although the Witherbloom command milling a Bosaju there at the end was tragic. I was just going to get a Wasteland and let you destroy one of my permanents to take out the Sarah's Sanctum, but nope, we won instead.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time, and I was hoping that I could maybe draw into another Battlefront or Unlife, but was not to be.
Yeah, I did not realize how warping the Solemnity itself was going to be. Like, not ticking up my Urza's Saga was great for me, but 0 counters on Eumidian Hatchery was obviously very bad. How did that feel from your side of the battlefield when you stuck it?
Uh, it was very much a case of we're going to be hoping that you don't have a Boseiju anytime soon. It's like you're going to have a lot of guys, and we just got to hope that we can suppress that. And then the alternative is also like if we can find like our Overlord of the Mistmores, then we just get like a 4 mana for 10 power that grows every turn, and that can sort of keep your guys under wraps a little bit.
Awesome. I think this was a very, very fun way to spend an afternoon. Any kind of final thoughts here?
Yeah, it was just nice to play against somebody who's also got a passion for a bit of spice here and there.
Yes, a lot of times these slower, mid-rangey decks, like the ones that were showcased today, just can't beat things that like Storm and Doomsday that they get paired into. But if your pairings are solid or the metagame is such where you're expecting to, play against a ton of Delver or other fair decks, then decks like these can absolutely thrive.
Yep, fully agree.
And with that, I think we'll go ahead and call it a day here, folks. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya.